Private property resale volume has actually fallen for the fourth consecutive month since May, but however, the price has still been continued going up. Now, in this video, I shall be explaining to you why there is such a phenomenon whereby the prices are actually going up while the volume transacted is actually going down, and also what is going to expect for the next 6 months to next year. If we look at the total volume transacted for the private property, you will see that the volume transacted has actually fallen for the fourth consecutive month since May. And if we look at the pricing, however, it tells a different story. Prices has actually still been holding firm. Now, prices actually went up from 1.2% since last month, from July to all the way to August. But if we look at year on year, from last year August till now, prices actually went up by 10.5%. Now, the first thing you need to understand is this thing called TDSR, or Total Debt Servicing Ratio. Now, Total Debt Servicing Ratio right now is 55%. So what does it mean? Now, to give you a bit of context, right now the interest rate is roughly 2 to 2.5%. Okay, let's assume that interest rate will still continue to go up by 3.5%. So, Total Debt Servicing Ratio was actually introduced by Mr. Taman. At that time, in 2013, it was our finance minister. And he wants to prevent something similar that happens in the US, which is the subprime Lehman Brothers crisis. So therefore, he come up with this thing called the TDSR. Now, what it means is that if interest rate one day is to go up to 3.5%, as what we may be looking at right now. However, when interest rate is hit 3.5%, owner of the property will be able to take home 45%, while he will use a maximum of 55% of his income to finance the property, and this excludes his bonuses. So this is actually something very good for everybody that makes Singapore property very stable. So basically what I'm trying to explain is that because of this thing called TDSR that was introduced in 2013, any property bought post TDSR era shows that everybody will be able to hold on to these properties and they are not forced to sell off the property. Because of TDSR, unlike pre-2013, sellers are not hard up to sell your property at all. In fact, right now, is what we call the seller's market. What it means is that, in fact, sellers will not want to sell your price at a low pricing. They will actually sell your price higher and they will actually market it at a much higher pricing. And if they can't find a buyer that is selling above valuation, they will just decide not to sell at all and continue to hold on to this property. Now, the second thing is also about the increasing rental. So rental actually went up by 40%, and I can actually give you an example. So if we look at one of my clients, he was actually thinking of selling his one bedroom at 1.2 million, okay? And because right now in the market, he was actually not able to fetch at this pricing, while people will not want to pay a 1.2 million for a one bedroom in a prime location, he decided not to sell at all. And he in fact asked me about the rental market. So actually the former tenant was actually renting with him at 2,600. And he was asking me how is the market like. I would just say that, okay, let's try to rent out 3,000. In fact, I got too many inquiries about 3,000. I raised the price up to 3,500. And in the end, I actually managed to close his rental at 3,400. So there was a very high percentage of increase of rental, like roughly around 40%. So for this group of sellers or investors, they feel that if I am not able to fetch the price that I want, I will actually rent it out instead, which gives them actually a better return. Right now in today's market, it is a seller's market, whereby there is more buyers compared to sellers. And in other words, there is more demand than there is supply. And because of this reason, there is a buyers and sellers psychological mismatch, whereby buyers want to buy low, while sellers actually want to sell as high as possible. And because of this mismatch, a lot of the transaction will not be able to meet. Hence, therefore, this is the main reason why the volume remain very low. However, for this group of buyers, if they are experienced or which they have seen many condos and they try to negotiate with a lot, they will realize that, oh, every sellers want to sell high, so they will have no choice. They will actually buy a resale unit at a much higher pricing than what they expect, or above, or they are willing to pay above valuation. Now, there is also a big group of the buyers who are actually inexperienced, where they see one property, give a valuation, and they will not pay anything above valuation. So for this group of buyers, what they will do is that they will either enter into the new launch market, where they know that if I have to enter into this condominium, everybody will be paying roughly the same price as I am, and I am not paying above valuation, or they will prefer to have a wait and see approach. Now, this is the main reason that causes why transaction volumes to be very low. And the buyers, the experienced buyers who are willing to pay for above valuation above this unit, and these are the ones that whereby the transaction will go through, which cause the property market to continue to go up by 1.2%. In my opinion, this trend will still continue to happen, whereby the volume transacted will remain very low while the prices will still continue to head upwards. Now, this is the reason is because, right, as long as the supply does not match the demand, it will still continue to happen like that. However, do take note that for next year, there will be quite a significant number of units that will enter into the market that is from the new launch market, where units will reach the TOP period. This will stabilize the price, but supply will not overflood the market. Again, you have to understand these two things. Firstly, because of the TDSR, definitely sellers or investors will want to hold on to your property and sell at a good price. Therefore, if they are not able to fetch it at a good price, they will have a wait and see approach, or they will actually rent it out. Now, buyers who are still sitting on the fence or waiting for the property market to drop will actually eventually enter into the market if price doesn't drop at all. So they will, when they enter the market, there will be actually more demand entering into it. So this is what we will be looking at. Now, do take note, my eventual feeling is that prices will not drop, but it will stabilize next year as there is more demand entering into the market. So, because there is also going to be an increase of demand from what we see of this group of wait and see buyers, they will eventually enter into the market if price still does not go down, but they still need a property. So there you have it. This is actually my take of what's going to happen for the market for this year and next year. And I hope you can make the best plan. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up button.